All right, what's up, everybody? Good to be back for another stream, as always. And we have just returned from World Championship Philly. Had an absolute amazing time at the event, and yeah, we're gonna do a quick recap, not too terribly long. We're just gonna kind of recap the event a little bit, and we're going to kind of discuss just the general direction of the game and kind of, some kind of focal points in basically uh what LSS seems to be focusing on and kind of the direction of things. Um and of course we're going to go over like the keynote stuff and what we think, demanded tier list, of course. What's up, Jacob? Once again, congratulations on the top 4 at Worlds. Amazing performance. Congratulations, boss. Um, yeah, so as far as the weekend, I mean, had a phenomenal time. Got to see everybody. For anybody that stopped and said, "Hey, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it." And I was not memeing on the previous streams. We ended up taking Arachne Huntsman, which in hindsight, uh, not really in hindsight, just we knew that it was a very, very risky play, right? We kind of knew that going in. Um, the idea was we solved the Verdance matchup, and that produced enough of an angle. And for those of you who were wondering what it was basically the combination of Amulet of Echoes to prevent a combo, um, and AB5 is basically the game plan. And yes, there are ways that Verdance players can play around Amulet of Echoes to prevent or to work around the combo and things like that. But it typically revolves around a spell being an arsenal, and you can't really do that against Assassin. So that's not really a viable option. There is some counterplay, but I've found in testing that um, it really works. The problem is, and this is the secret, chat, none of this matters if you don't play any. If you play zero verdants, solving a matchup and spending, a few weeks on a singular matchup does absolutely nothing. Um, we didn't play a single one. And we lost against some Syndras in some close games, and they were kind of down to their last hand scenario. We got juiced by Jarl. Not, I mean, didn't get juiced, but I mean, like, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Played super well, really tight. Um, we also could have played the weekend a little bit better, especially in CC. It was somewhat relatively new hero, but we definitely could have played a little bit tighter as well. So there's a lot of different aspects of um, that decision and outcome. So ultimately, we um, did not do well. We went straight into LL, and then we had a Viscerai deck, and some of the tech choices for that. Some of you noticed on the Twitter post that I think Josh made. We were on 10 foot tall and bulletproof for the uh, the the Starvo and Marlin matchup, and that basically allowed us to get a little bit of breathing room to make a couple more rune chants. Also, it actively gives you the option to semi stack against Marlin as kind of an out, and then we were also playing Amulet of Echoes in Viscerai to counter the Dio strategy. So we would just kind of creepers that in, or just play it ahead of time if we drew it early. And that was kind of the angle that we were trying to take with the Viscerai deck, and it worked really well. 10 foot tall, I was really impressed with. More so during the calling. I don't think I even cited it in a single time during the during Worlds, but during the calling, it single handedly won at least one game, and it definitely helped with a couple more. So really worked well. The Amulet of Echoes was great, but the DO player that we played against, Thomas, he played super, super well and just played around it where he never had 2 cards in hand to discard. And I could have also played a little bit better and maybe triggered the discard a little bit earlier to prevent getting the resources to system reset. I'll take the onus on that. But other than that, that was the idea and the mentality going into the event. And yeah, had a great time just hanging out with everybody. It was such a blast. And it was almost the first event where we had every single card guy there. We were missing Damien was the only one that was not actively at the event. So just to get the whole team together was a blast. So really enjoyed it. Got to hang out at the Airbnb some, play some poker. It was a good time. Um, and we got to teach Noah on the runaways what not to do in poker, the hard way, running into threes. Boy, I tell you. Okay. So that's kind of the short recap of Worlds. That's the decision we made. Going back, what if I could go back, what would I change? Probably would have actually taken Dom Blade Dory, to be honest with you. The deck that Josh was on. If I hadn't gotten the Verdance matchup exactly where I wanted with Arachne, I probably would have played that deck. And it was really good. It was super good into Syndra. And yeah, it is what it is. What's up, Andy? Good to see you. Good to see you. Can't believe that C tier deck won Worlds. I can't believe it either. I cannot believe it either. Who would ever put her in C tier? Who would ever do it? So we're definitely going to do a Sage tier list, just not today. We got to get some more reps under the format. Also, kind of planning the channel content for the next couple of weeks. We're obviously approaching a somewhat lull period. I don't like calling it that, but like there's just holidays that people are uh, there's holidays that people are spending time kind of traveling and stuff like that, and spending time with family. And there's not as many events. There's still some. We got Seattle that's around the corner next month. We got, a couple more Battle Hard and stuff like that. So we're definitely going to be kind of talking to those events. But for the most part, from a competitive standpoint, this is as close to an off season as we'll get. And so basically what we're going to do is effectively kind of in the meantime just kind of study up on the Silver Age format and kind of just break it down, get some reps, see what's powerful other than Ira and what they're going to ban on Ira is pretty interesting to think about. But very interested in, and we're going to talk about the potential impact of Pin and how I personally think it could be the most important set of Flesh and Blood. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but once again, huge thank you to anybody that came up and said hi. I really do appreciate it, and it's just great meeting the members of the community. It had just an absolute blast doing all of that. So let's go ahead and get into the kind of the topic of this stream, and the main topic for this one is going to be basically most of what revolved around the keynote, right? Because that's like the biggest source of information that we currently have to kind of go off of. And one thing that I would just want to kind of mention from the get go is I don't think, if my memory serves me correctly, I don't think LL was mentioned a single time during the keynote. Also, somebody told me that like if you go to what is it, play formats, it's like constructed formats. You have Silver Age and Classic constructed, and then you have like special formats as Living Legend. Just kind of this from a marketing perspective shows onus that this is more important than this from a this may or may not be true. I'm just saying somebody had to actively make the decision to put this under special formats, aka not as common stuff, than putting Silver Age here. So obviously LL is a much lower priority than Silver Age. It's a very safe assumption to make. And I don't disagree with it. And it is what it is. So that's straight off the rip. from the keynote. That's the first thing that I noticed is that they did not mention the format that we were about to spend the entire weekend playing, which I thought was very odd. But it does seem to kind of paint a path forward as far as what they're going to focus on and what they're not. And it seems like LL might take the form of like one event a year, kind of like the team battle hardens and stuff like that. It might take that kind of mold going forward. We're not entirely sure. Of course, this is speculation, but if it was going to be any part of the competitive circuit, like on a serious basis, it would have been at least mentioned, and I do not think it was. Um, so obviously, this set is going to be used to bolster Sage. Okay, now we have to spend a second to kind of talk about Sage real quick. I want to kind of paint a picture for everybody because this is very very important. Sage to me, I've heard a lot of people, like somebody in chat's mentioning right now that they don't enjoy Sage and things like that. And um Sage, the closest point in Classic Constructed that you could compare to Sage would be the heavy hitters meta. And for anybody that did not experience that, or maybe just to refresh your memory a little bit, everybody just instantly fell in love with the heavy hitters meta because it was kind of back to that old school, just value, small points of advantage, and you know, just eking out the value, kinda some people call it Excel simulator, whatever you version you wanna call it, um, and everybody just loved it when that meta kind of developed. The problem is the love for that meta lasted approximately 30, 45 days maybe, and then immediately it just I don't know what happened in the community, but people just got tired of it way faster than any meta I've ever experienced in my 5 years of playing this game. And I think it's basically, comes down to the fact that maybe that was hitting on like a nostalgic level, right? That old school feeling of playing flesh and blood and grinding out games. Where when other decks existed, that wasn't really a thing, right? Like to give you an example, dual wielding Dory and KO were the two best decks, or two of some of the best decks. Um, of course, you had Dromai, which was probably the best deck, but that gives you an idea of the kind of decks that were able to operate in that meta, and people loved it. But that love just diminished for some reason, and it's my speculation that people just it kinda got old because it was just doing the same number math. It's like, "Okay, I have my blue, I have my Blade Runner," or, "I'm trying to stall the game a little bit till I get Blood Rush Bellow. Did I get it? Did I not as KO?" Those different types of things. And I worry for Silver Age in the same way. I think this is my prediction that I think, like most people have seen, I think Silver Age will take off like a absolute rocket. I think it will explode, and the problem is that I worry 60 days from now what happens when you're playing those same grindy math, kind of matchups, which it does kind of have that vibe. And I don't know what happens. I don't know if people will get tired of it. I hope people do not, but I can kind of draw the conclusion that a lot of people might. It might be that cool new thing that people are brewing left and right and thing. But what happens when you show up to your armory and 80% of the people in the room are Ira? Like, is it still fun? Is it when everything consolidates? Does that still does it lose its, I don't know. I don't know. And so the reason I'm telling you this is not to complain. It's not to doom about the format. It's not to do any of that. The point of me kind of breaking it down this way is pin, the new set, is so important because I think what it needs is we need an Everfest set, okay, for Silver Age, okay? Don't put a hero like fucking Starvo in it and just ruin the entire meta. Don't do anything like that, but think about it. Think about Everfest as a set. It's absolutely absurd. Let me just bring it up for you. I mean, there are just absolute banger after banger after banger. Hang on. Let's just do. I want to remind people of what was in this just, I'm gonna be honest, amazing set. Swing Big, Wild Ride, Bear Fangs, right? We had Pulverized, Thunderquake, Macho Grande. We had Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. We have 100 Winds, Winds of Eternity, Wax On, right? Blood on Our Hands, Slice and Dice, Blade Runner in the swing. That whole archetype didn't exist, right? Teclo Pounder, T-Bone? What? Like, and these are just like rares, bro. These are literal like rares and stuff. Some of them are majestics, of course, but like Rain Razors, Battering Bolt, Vexing Swarming Revel. I mean, chat. What more do you need? Wildfire, Scours, Emeritus, Miraging, the blue auras. I mean, just gas after gas after gas. We had an arcane offhand. This round's on me. Just look what this set did for the game. If you just take a step back and like, kind of think to yourself, this is like this is what we need for Silver Age. Okay. We need that set that just juices it up, right? Not like we don't have to send it through the roof, right? Because we still want it to be, you know, a 20 life format. We still want it, all of these things. But we have to. We absolutely have to get something more in Silver Age. And I think that they'll do this. I'm just saying that a lot is riding on this because if they don't, if they just if it's just like a couple more cards that like act as like pseudo replacements to other cards and they give like the illusion of choice, I think we'll get burned out on this format in 45 days. I truly believe that. So, and maybe it doesn't, I mean, Vero does have a good point. Like maybe it doesn't have to be to the same scale. That's not what I'm saying. Um, but like I could see a world where you have a lot of cards that are not in complete cycles. You literally, because think about how easy that is. Think about how easy that is to balance when you only have to balance two ofs in your deck, right? Literally. You can only have, if they limit it to one color, they print a card, Revel and not Rune Blood, right? They can only, if it's for Sage, they put it in rare, whatever the case may be. Boom, you're good, right? Like you can only have two copies of that card in your deck. For you to have an extreme balance issue, like the card has to be just bananas, right? So I think if they use the combination of, just good balance and limiting it um to not being able to play, where they will start getting in trouble with Silver Age is letting people play 6 copies of a card. That is the quickest way that people are gonna, you know, just get the format to a degenerate point. That's the quickest way. And and Vero has another good point where you gotta, it also has to impact CC. They can't just print the set and it just impact, the which, let's be honest, like if it's not gonna break Silver Age, I can't say that because mm, I want to say that, but yeah, but I can't. I just think that it needs the point of this is like I think we need this set to be like Everfest. Maybe not to the level it is, but Silver Age needs a little bit of juice. Not a lot, but it just needs some juice. Okay. Not just equipment, not just, one rare per class. We need some like, you know, some options. I don't know what that looks like. But I'm just saying that we need some options. And to be honest, like it should it should be kind of easy to solve this problem, right? Like theoretically, you should be able to go class by class, and you should be able to say, okay, what majestics make this class click, right? And you go to I don't know brute, and you say, okay, blood rush bellow. Well, can we mold a blood rush bellow for Silver Age, right? Now, obviously, it's going to be way different because that car would be cracked at 20 life, right? But you could theoretically try to simulate that on a much lower power level and still kind of keep that class identity or that archetype intact, right? Um, and you can kind of preserve what people really enjoy with CC. And I think that that would be a very easy way to kind of design the set is looking at every single class and saying, all right, what makes them click? Okay. You have Glint the Quicksilver in Dory. You have Steel Blade Supremacy. So make some underrated versions of these cards. You don't have to worry about, you know, you're not really gonna have to worry about the CC implications. Maybe Dorian CC gets a slightly upgraded blue, that's kind of like Glint, but not as good, right? And oh, you're not gonna break the format, right? Um, so that's kind of the idea. Is I just wanted to really emphasize how important this next set because my biggest fear. Okay, let's fast forward and let's hypothetically say that Penn is just a set that basically results in people not having to wear the same every class doesn't wear the same set of was it Blade Beckoner equipment. Let's say every class gets a new set of armor that they play in Silver Age. And that's like all that really renders and comes to fruition out of the set. Not good. Not good, right? And I think that it would truly threaten the longevity of the format, right? Because after the debacle we just had with LL, this one's got to hit out the gate, right? It just has to. And LSS already has some momentum, right? Like a lot of people are gravitating to it. I think a lot of that is just it's a fresh atmosphere to brew. I think that if you removed that from Silver Age right now, I don't think anybody would be hyped about it, to be honest with you. But it's just a vast landscape to brew. But once the meta kind of solidifies, I think a lot of the pizzazz will kind of fade a little bit. Is kind of my idea. Let me get caught up in chat. Okay. Um, do you think it would need a Sage only thing so CC doesn't get super powered? I don't think it does because you also have to support CC. You can't release an entire set and then not support your number one format. I think that's actually the worst thing that they could do is just isolate the two. You cannot do that. You have to find a perfect balance, but that balance is easy. Let's say hypothetically everything in the set, if it's majestic or higher, it's for CC. If it's rare or lower, guess what? It's probably for fucking Silver Age, right? And that's a very easy way. I'm saying this set, the the design angles that they have, it it should be pretty straightforward, right? They don't have to play around any limited shenanigans. This is like just ground level. They're building exactly what they want. They don't really have to play within any barriers or anything like that. I mean, they have the value aspect built into it because they're reprinting everything. Shelter of the Storm, Eye of Ophidia, Balance of like they don't have to just put some bullshit majestic in there to sell boxes, right? That's been taken care of. Draft, don't gotta worry about that. They have, I hate to say it like this because it's kind of fucked up, but like they got no excuse. They got this has to land. Okay. It literally has to. Okay. Um, because if it doesn't, like, what's the reason? What is the reason? Was it not tested enough? Was it launched too early? Like, is that gonna fly in the community? That's a tough one. That is a tough one, right? Now, I think that they'll do great. I'm very optimistic about what they're gonna be able to do because they don't have to go through all of those things and kind of check 20 things off the list, right? They just gotta do a few things very precisely. I think that they can do that. Um, so that's it should be like should be pretty smooth. But all the main thing that I wanted to get across is that there's a lot, and I mean a lot riding on this set because I mean, just I don't know how else to say it. I think the format literally depends on it. What do we think about Dazzling Aurora? Julian, what are you talking about? Is that your limited practice? Also helps the stats when all the current sets are short printed. I think that Dust Till Dawn was the most printed set because of the artist cards. I think that if you took those away, now this is hypothetical, right? Or this is speculation. I think honestly, I'm not just trying to like talk shit or anything, but like I think honestly, if you took away the artist cards, like who's buying that set? The 14 Leviathan players? Like, is that who's buying Dust Till Dawn? Who? The Bolton players? They're buying it? Hell no. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So that's just, we gotta slow down if we're gonna say, that it's the best selling set, let's at least, maybe kind of point toward why it is, right? There's Prism players, Nathan. But it's funny that you mentioned that, Jacob, because half of the drip doesn't even come from that set. They get like the promos and shit. I'm worried some card M's may be reprinted as rare with a splash of new art. Um, that's a very interesting point, Andy, and that's hmm. Oh God, Andy, when I read your comment, I went from like super excited to worried in about 3 seconds flat, and I'll explain. When you said that, my mind went, "Oh shit, that's like a very easy way to like, oh, this majestic is an appropriate power level. Let's just print it in rare and get it out of there, right?" But then I was like, fuck. I don't need 0 to 35, right? I don't need 0 to 27 and a quarter. We don't need those, right? I mean, maybe we do. I don't know, but hmm, that's interesting because what Silver Age cannot be by definition, okay? Silver Age cannot be, instead of everybody attacking for 4 per card, everybody attacks for 3 per card. That cannot be the translation of Silver Age. If it is, there's the cost is the only benefit, right? They have to find a way to fit the synergies into a 20 life game. If the decks have no synergies and they lose their, I don't know, if they lose their, the connection point, or, the synergy, or whatever you want to call it, if they lose that, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. The general power level is already really high for a 20 life format. I doubt they would even downshift super rares, let alone majestics. Hero identity. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Vero. We got there. We got there. 20 health format feels bad, man. I've lost too many games to dominate cheese. And that's where they're going. I mean, that's where they're gonna have to balance, right? I think you're right. It would be interesting for Jank M's. Yeah, I'm down, right? Like if it's truly, but like it has to be. They have to be like playable, right? You can't just like throw them down there just for the sake of it. How can it be competitive with heroes like OG Young KO? Uh, that is gonna be like the biggest like rage bait ever. Is somebody just doubling all the power on their attacks? That's a good point though. Silver Age needs cards to slow, and they could just. I'm gonna be honest. That hero they could just ban him. Like I don't know. I wouldn't be down. I'd be down for it, to be honest. Um, I'm not trying to doom, but the format feels pretty cooked. I I mean, I hate that we have aggro slop and block slop. Like there's no substance in the format. Right. And that's because everybody's playing, you know, that's people just metagaming, right? Like that. And that's why I said that I don't think that the newness is going to. Oh my god, Jacob, you just got it. The format needs Treasure Island. Holy shit. Holy shit. That's an idea. Hang on. Timeout. That's why this is the best chat in the business. Okay? Yeah, every game you win, you get $5. But hang on. Seriously though, that idea is kind of good. You just have macros. They could be seasonal or they could not. It like and it creates hmm. You could even take it a step further where if they were ever interested in like doing, what if they just gave everybody 30 life and called it a day? 'Cause that worked out with Kano, right? I think that's actually a sick idea. It obviously doesn't have to be in the exact wording on Treasure Island, but some type of macro that force and let's be honest. So at the U.S. National Championship in Vegas, I approached Brian and I had a conversation with him. And I looked him dead in the eyes and I said, you know what, Brian, like I've never enjoyed Flesh and Blood Limited, like ever. But I told him that High Seas did it for me. I said that I literally told him that that was the only set that I'd ever like went out of my way to draft. I always did it because I had to like do it from a competitive standpoint, but that was the only set that I'd ever like gone out of my way to actively draft. And I told him that it was, basically due to Treasure Island and how it basically forces the players to kind of engage, and there's like a just a board state that you're constantly fighting over. It gave it like a board game element. I don't want to call it a board game because it's not, but it gave it that. And I'm a sucker for a good board game. Oh my god, board games. Oh my goodness. And so yeah, I think Jacob, I think that's a phenomenal idea to have macros push the envelope on kind of invalidating block soup in aggro slop, right? Hey, I saw Nathan at Worlds. I thought he would be taller. Well, sorry to disappoint, but I love the comment. Oh, that's good. What if Treasure Island changed it? Yeah, I really like that idea. And it would actually be kind of dope if if the format ever did go to like a best of 3 or something like that, you could like each bring a macro or like we're starting to approach like rift bound territory. But I'm just saying, let's not close ourselves off to it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, saying. Someone get LSS on the phone. um, Complaining about block slop and wanting 30 HP format. Board games and PT Vegas, but for money. I mean, that's just poker, right? I'll let you take all my money again, Andy. No problem. Um, we vote for macros. Okay. So tomorrow I'm gonna post on Twitter. I'm be like, look, LSS chat has spoken. We need macros in Silver Age. I need everybody to back me up on it. Okay. But I think it's like a sick idea, to be honest. Different islands for different classes, so Guardian maybe gets a debuff for each turn they don't attack. And I mean, the thing is, I've said this several times during my streams, and that is the greatest concern that I have for Flesh and Blood is that there's only so many levers that you can pull on a card, right? I'll give you an example. It can cost 0, it can cost 1, it can cost 2, up to like you know, realistically up to 3 before like certain classes won't even entertain it above 4, right? So realistically 0, 1, 2, 3 for a cost. And you can make it red, yellow, blue, or no pitch. Okay. And then it can block 0, 2, or 3, or 4, right? Whereas, and then you have the effect, obviously. But like in games like Magic, right? Something could cost 2 of any mana and then like 2 red and a blue, and it's way easier to like it gives you a lot more levers to balance, you know, classes. And my greatest concern is like the ability to like create variables with less levers. Now that's not a dig, right? That's just an observation from the mechanics perspective of the game. And so far they've done a phenomenal job at not hitting that roadblock or whatever you want to call it they've done a phenomenal job at not even approaching that. But I'm saying at some point, I do worry that maybe we do get there, right? Maybe there's no longer you can't make you can only make so many one for fives. You see what I'm saying? Like you can make flock, you can make bingo, you can make sensor, but like eventually you're gonna run out of one for fives. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the macro idea is a really good idea to just get another lever, right? We're not trying to break the game. We're not trying to change flesh and blood. We're just trying to get another lever that you can adjust, not adjust. You could do whatever you want with it, right? And yeah, I think that is that's a really good idea. Okay. Now let's move on to the next part. And that is the community being able to decide bands and hero bands, card bands, all of that, right? It like when Brian first stated that during the keynote, I got scared. If I'm being 100% honest. Not because I don't think that um community can vote that's not my concern. My concern is as a content creator, there exist I have how do I even say this? I have to be careful. Sorry, chat. Frames are dropping. Are we back, chat? You have to actually think about what you say instead of do what every other. I agree. Oh, that's a roast. That is a roast. So what it does, it kind of puts me in, to be honest, a little bit of a pickle because I one of my favorite things is interacting with the community and speculating and all of these things. What I am worried about is I, I worry about I'm not saying I have that type of pull. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that all content creators, this is not a statement for me. This is a statement for every single one of us. I think we have a responsibility to do our absolute best to not sway the decisions, right? And it's it's gonna be difficult. It's literally going to be so difficult because the last thing that I want is, oh, Nathan said, uh, we should have banned this card, right? And the Runaway said that we should have banned that card, and they got banned, and now the format's fucked, right? It, I just don't want. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want that kind of. I don't want it. I definitely don't. Um, so with that being said, I'm going to be very, and I mean very careful about, suggesting or commenting toward like what shouldn't be banned because I don't want to have anything to do with that situation. It's not something I'm going to give my opinion, right? But I'm going to try to. I have to be careful in the wording, right? Just don't want to, we'll have Ira every other season. Lol. No, Ira's gonna catch some bans. I don't think you have to worry about that. She's just doing way, way too much. But yeah, I just message to all the content creators: be careful. Be careful about when it gets to that season or whatever the case may be. Just be careful. Don't go around carrying a flag for no reason and just hoping that people just get rid of whatever you hate. I don't know. It kind of remind me of Eternal Podcast from MTG Legacy. It's one thing to complain and sideline, it's another to be responsible. Yeah. And that's why I guess it just all depends on how content creators approach it, right? Bans are just for heroes, right? Not card choices. I don't know, to be honest. Another thing that's honestly interesting. Obviously, we know that we can ban the heroes and whatnot. There is a collection of heroes that a decent portion of the community just don't like, mainly due to polarization, right? And when I say that, I mean we're talking illusionist, wizard, things like the obvious stuff, right? Are we just going to get like are we just going to get like people just voting that every single time because they hate the polarization? But then those decks aren't there to police the things that they were created to police? Like is the community smart enough and disciplined enough to like not do that? I guarantee you if you took a poll right now on like what to ban, it would be there would be a lot of if you've played Silver Age, Illusionist and Wizard are not the problem. But so many people have PTSD from those classes that they're just gonna hit the button. And we're gonna end up with with none of those classes. It's pretty interesting. So there are two yeah, board state heroes. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Um to make a voter's guide. That's actually good. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take note of what the community's saying should be banned, and I instead of saying what I think like should happen, I'm going to say if you ban this, these are the ripple effects in the meta. That's what I'm gonna do going forward. That is what we're gonna do. Is the community smart? No. We gotta give them something. Um, can we ban Eugene? He's bannable, but we can't. We gotta let Eugene play. Who else is going to hoard all of the XP, right? We gotta let Eugene play. Ira, Briar, Oldham, Azalea probably will get the hammer, but we need to take that decision. Yeah, I mean, you have to see what is coming in PN, right? I don't think there's any reason to really make a decision. Well, I guess there is, right? You have Seattle, the Battle Harden. Um, I heard people in Philly saying, "Well, there goes Iceland." I mean, exactly. She's not even that good, and people are just going to, "Oh, I hate playing against that hero. Get rid of it." Right? And so I'm interested to see the level of, and maybe that's kind of the importance of Fabrary and Talishar and all of these entities and the data that they provide, giving you insight on like, if Icelander has a 40% win rate in Sage, maybe we shouldn't ban it, right? Whereas if you didn't have that visual cue, it's a little bit harder to come to that conclusion. Should have been 3 devs ban, 1 community ban. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. The hands-off approach is wild to me. I heard somebody say, I forget who it was, but I heard somebody say that they thought that LSS was tired of getting like literally just crucified every single time that they made a band change or anything like that. And so they were like, fuck it. Here you go, community. Let's see your best crack at it, right? which is kind of based, to be honest. Like, I mean, like if you, it's kind of a baller move. But at the same thing, like that's how you sink a ship. Like that is how you crash a plane. Right? So I don't know. I don't know how well it's gonna work, but I do respect it. The giving the community the opportunity to fuck around and find out, I'm always for. But we'll see if they actually to deliver on that. Apparently, you need to have played Sage recently to be able to vote. So I think less people are going to just hate vote hero. How do you even define that? Like, oh, you went to a battle hardened in the past 6 months. You went to a Sage armory. Like, I don't know about that. I think LSS should also get the option to unban a hero or multiple heroes. Sure. Just kinda got tired of people complaining about limited and made LL. Yeah, that's kinda what Brian said. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. So I'm interested to see what happens. I'm gonna be very cautious and very careful in how I kind of word things and navigate the situation. That's my responsibility, but at the same time, I'm very interested on kind of how it all plays out. It's very um I see this going really, really well or just horribly. And worst case scenario, if it goes horribly, they can just stop doing it, right? That's a very easy decision to kind of backpedal on, and we can kind of go from there. Maybe we will be bad at banning and go back to crying to LSS. I mean, yeah. We always have the complaint in our back pocket that you let us choose, right? You let us make the mistake. When you're fuming on Twitter, just remember that. That's all you always have that in your back pocket, Sage. I don't know. I think personally, jeopardizing your brand new format because you have a chip on your shoulder about players flaming you for bad balance decisions isn't a dunk to me. I agree with that point, but what if it is a good idea? What if it's not? What if some of it is because they have a chip on it? But what if it actually is? Uh, and I'll give you an example, right? A lot of people started playing like old school RuneScape recently. Not recently, but like past couple months or so. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't really play the game, but like if I'm not mistaken, in that game, people like vote on the changes, right? They like have a change and they're like, vote yes or no, right? And if it passes, they do it. If not, they throw it away, right? From what I've heard from the people that do play that game, it's a phenomenal system. It's like the whole reason that people play that game. Maybe this is the same thing. It's probably not. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be 100. I'm gonna keep it 100. It's probably not. But what if it is? Right? What if it is that same? It creates that same just agency within the community, right? And I don't know. So just as a flat statement, just across the board, it is definitely worth. It's definitely worth trying. That I can say with 100% confidence that it is at least worth trying. Do we stick with it? I have no fucking clue. But maybe, just maybe, it's there's something that can come of it. And I'm interested to see it. I'm interested to see kind of I mean and that's another thing. Like if we only have control over the heroes and they have the cards, then it does give them the ability. So let's just use an example, right? Let's say we all voted, you know, illusionist off the map, right? Enigma gone, Prism gone, or whatever. We got rid of all the board state decks, and now Block Soup is like OP, right? LSS could step in and say, okay, that's what y'all chose. On the horizon is banned. Um, this test of strength is banned. All these different 4 blocks, get them the fuck out of here. Staunch banned, right? Get them out of here, right? Good luck, right? To kind of counter the thing that maybe the community did not take into account. Or maybe they did and they just said, up, it's worth it. So that's, I'm interested to see if they're willing to kind of take it from that approach, or is it just they're banning these cards and then we also pick some heroes? I think they should be reactive to the situation because we do need somebody actually driving the fucking bus, right? And that's a good way to do it. Like, all right, you swap it up how you want, and then boom, we'll ban some cards to make sure y'all didn't fuck it up. But then again, if they do that, then anything that goes bad is their fault, right? Because we just know how that's going to break down, right? But they make a game, so they have to just be naturally willing to accept that's what's going to happen, no matter what. So that's kind of my thoughts. I'm really, really. We are not driving. We are, we are not driving. Definitely not. LSS banning cards in a smart way to handle the meta. Never. I mean, look, statistically, in Sage, there are less cards to ban, so they have to be more accurate because there are simply less options. That's that is a statistical fact. Okay. I wish they did a season hero rotation instead of vote bans. That way they can make the best ban list possible for smaller list of heroes. I'd be down. That was my solution for LL before they took it out back and shot it. So guess we'll never see if that comes to fruition or not, or maybe 5 years down the road it does. I don't know. But I wouldn't expect anything from LL in the near future. Just doesn't seem like it's the topic of investment right now. But on a final note of LL in flesh and blood, I'm glad that LSS just gave it a good shot, right? That way we didn't have to like deal with this bullshit for like 6, 7, 8 months, a year, year and a half. Them just like occasionally ruining callings or whatever your perspective is of the format, right? They just were like, look, we're gonna go all in. If it lands, cool, we'll keep doing it. If not, we'll pull back. Like, I'm just glad they just did what they had to do to just get the answer. Just get the answer. And they got it, and now they out of there. But we will see. We will see. I wish we could do a voting for format so we could vote to ban Sage. It's not that bad. It can't be. Um, but the next couple streams, we're definitely going to be playing a lot more Sage instead of talking about it because there's only going to be so much to talk about. So we're just probably going to do Sage gameplay for the next. Um, I've already got a Briar deck built up, ready to go. We're going to be showcasing that probably, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I will say the L format was actually reasonable fun at the event, and it seemed like the coverage was pretty cool. Coverage, everybody said it was light years ahead of limited, like absolutely light years ahead. And another thing that I will say, every single person that I got to talk to and kind of, ask about, I tried to ask them what they thought about LL. And the thing that got my attention the most that I did not expect this to be a correlation, was I made the assumption that the people that could kind of harvest nostalgia would be drawn to accepting LL as it is. And that was not the case. That was 100% Not true. Everybody that I asked that said that they actually enjoyed playing LL or was okay and accepted what it actually is, had been playing the game for like a year and a half or a year. Absolutely blew my mind. And then everybody that had been playing the game 3, 4, 5 years, they were like, "Yeah, this is dog shit." I was like, "What? You're telling me the people that like have no attachment to these heroes are the ones enjoying the format?" I just it blew my mind. I'm telling you, like I asked probably 40, 50 people, and it was common across. As soon as they gave me the answer on LL, I said, "How long you been playing the game?" There it is. I just it was wild. It was wild. Absolutely insane. But it is what it is. Oh, and by the way, one more thing. The funniest part of the whole week, I was cracking up. So I'm sitting there talking to Max, top 8 at Worlds, Maximilian Klein, and we were just chatting, catching up, talking about the preparation for the event, well, what he liked, what he didn't, things like that. And Sam O'Byrne just walks up behind me and taps Matt on the shoulder and says, "Look, the ceremony is at 5. Be up there and be ready." And Max goes, "No, I have a side event at 4." And I absolutely lost it. The fact that Max was like, "You know what? Side event up here, top 8 world ceremony here." It was the funniest shit on the planet. Oh, we were laughing for like 5 minutes straight. It was hilarious. Max has to be one of my favorite players in the game. Just absolutely a ball to talk to and such a nice guy. Just absolutely great. Uh Michael said I had fun in the calling, but I never want to play L ever again. I respect it. I respect it. Somebody wants to see the huntsman list that I took to Worlds. I can accommodate that. I can. I can. I can. Let me show it to you real quick. This is the Worlds deck that we ended up taking. Some notable changes is we were on a lot more double troubles, and we leveraged Justin Nick to kind of support the blue ones. And then we also ran. God, this throws me off every time I see the art because I'm like, what is that card? Um, Notable is we are not on Annihilate the Armed, the one cost, because one costs suck unless it's Eradicate, and then it's just good enough. And this is kind of the sideboard. We have some Midas touches. We have Stonewall Gauntlet, basically utilizing the exact same premise as Verdance. We just run it into Syndra, literally only Syndra, and we wait for Wrath and we throw it in, right? Amulet of Echoes is for the Verdance combo that we mentioned, and Regicide is the win con actually against Syndra, where you basically just surgical the shit out of their hand, and then when they have those last few blues in your hand, you make sure that you banish one of each into the banish zone, and they can't block with them on Regicide. Then you have just Remembrance for the longer matchups like Jarl, stuff like that, and you have Midas for the obvious, and then Oasis as well to kind of outlast the trees in Verdance. And then we ran Skullcap for the boosted AB. But yeah, other than that, pretty standard stuff. Nothing like absolutely crazy. Um, and then we can go ahead and show the Visceri list, I guess. I don't see why the fuck not. Um, this is the Visceri list that we took. We were on Hope Merchant's Hood as a little throwback. Basically, I thought that the format was so fast that it actually made sense to if you brick on one hand, you're kind of like done, right? Like if you're Viscera, you win the die roll and there's like 4 attacks in your hand, like it's absolute dog shit. But if you just throw all that back in the deck and draw 4 new cards, and you're able to make some rune chance, your win percentage goes up way more. Um, your hat fucking blocking for 2 does not matter because you don't win LL by 2 life. You either win by 15 or you don't win at all. And that was kind of the philosophy. Other than that, we ran Yellow Rune Flash instead of Douse for the consistent go again because we did run Base of the Mountain into Starvo. So we needed to make sure that every single attack that we got off of Sonata had go again, with the exception of the one Amplify the Art Knight, because we needed a critical density of poppers, for a total of 3. This is a popper, but we are not using that as a popper. I'll tell you that much. And then we were using Tiara and Sudcliffe to make the Florian matchup literally 100% because it was kind of on the uptick toward the end, getting ready for the event. And then, of course, Amulet of Echoes was for Dash IO. Other than that, pretty standard stuff. We were on Tone because we wanted to embrace the high roll. And to be honest, it's probably one of the best cards of the weekend, if I'm being honest. But other than that, pretty standard stuff. Nothing particularly crazy. I'm gonna get caught up in chat. Is this a Sage deck? ah, ah, got jokes. I have no nostalgia for playing with old design mistakes. That's kind of actually a little based there. Do. I dreaded playing the LL Calling, but I had a lot more fun than I thought I would. Starvo done his thing. And when he didn't, my opponent got to do their broken thing. Overall, enjoyed it. Had fun in the calling, but I never want to play LL ever again. LL was leagues more fun to watch. Oh yeah, from everybody I've seen said it was way more fun to watch. 100%. Not even a contest. Um, to be honest, the disappointing part of the event was that it felt more like I was attending a calling than a world championship. That one kind of hurts. LL is more fun to watch. Yep. What if Sage was best 2 of 3 with a 55-minute timer? I don't hate the idea, but I do kind of like the idea that you never. We have to keep in mind the main motivator for actually having Sage as a format and why they changed the structure of a battle harden. Anybody that's ever went deep into a battle harden, sometimes you will actually play the finals outside the venue, like literally in the hallway, because the venue will close because you had to run fucking 8 rounds and then a top 8 in one single day, right? And it's 55-minute rounds and people go over time and all of that stuff, right? So having 30-minute rounds is the solution to that problem, right? The best example is anybody that attended the first Pro Tour. The battle harden was blitz, and we did like 10 rounds, and everybody was done before everybody else. Like it was so smooth, and then what's the next worst thing about a battle harden is you lose one early game and you're gone, right? You're just like you're done, right? You lose the event because there's a very harsh cut at the end. But if you play more rounds because they're 30-minute rounds, then it's more forgiving, right? Maybe you get juiced in a game or two, but you can still make top 8, right? So that's that's kind of my thought process is that I think like one of the main reasons that say I think it's intentional, very intentional that it's a 30 round format. Um do we get caught up in fab players are too slow for best of 3 games. That's another good point. Magic people have learned how to play fast and just kind of have it. Yeah, we just kind of have it. Yep. Did you like 10 foot tall into Starvo, or was it mostly for Marlin? It was for both. I like them in both because I kind of mini stack in both matchups, and the philosophy behind it is I use it when it's really important, right? Like Oak and Old, something like that, whatever the case may be. And then I play my other 3 cards out, or whatever the case may be, and I draw 2 cards. And then you're either going to fuse, and I can't block with all my cards anyway, or you're not going to fuse, and then I can either you're going to like just do nothing. You're going to play like some bullshit channel 8 fridges or something, and I'm just gonna play like pitch a card to play or read the runes or something, right? Like I think the outcome, no matter what, is okay if I'm on a 2 card hand. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Um, the only time it could bite you in the ass is if they had exactly like yellow winter's bite while you had like your last combo piece. Like that's the only and you had to like discard it. That's the only like situation where I think it's ultimately a bad card. Base was really good. Base was really good. Uh, I did okay at the LO calling, so I had a good time. Love chain. The format is very whatever. The die roll decides too much, and the decision points are too driven by deck construction and bullets. I agree. This is with the grinding side events at calling instead of main event is more fun. Just stack a bunch of tickets and bling your deck. I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I've never I've never been the side event guy. I've never just maybe I should give it a shot. I don't know. I'm sad the format is done, but it needs so much maintenance to be decent. I agree. I agree. It just needs a little bit of work. Needs a little bit of work. Probably years worth of work, but yeah. Reminds me of when I watched Michael Hamilton get honked at by a venue van doing breakdowns during his final. Yeah, exactly. Literally exactly. Only issue is that both parties need to play at a good pace. Yep. So yeah, that's kind of the thoughts on the weekend. We also kind of hit on a lot of the different topics of you know the direction of Silver Age and kind of what is really. I'm telling you, this next product is so important. It. I'm telling you, I hope they understand how big this one is. This one has to do exactly what they want it to do. Really, really important. And I hope it does. I really hope it does. I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out. But this is a big one. This is a big one. The Silver Age format really needs this to be a home run set. Really does. But yeah, other than that, had a blast playing Viscerai one quote unquote last time. And yeah, I would have loved to play Briar even more, but I just didn't think that the deck was particularly viable in the situation. Huntsman was an okay pick, but the problem was didn't play any verdants. And that was the whole reason I brought the deck. I love Silver Age. I'm from Brazil. CC deck price is just insane for us. Yep. And and that is a huge benefit for Silver Age. But I just want to preface that that cannot be the only reason, right? We can't just play 0 to 35s and 0 to 20s just because it's cheaper. That cannot be the answer. So, cuz Bright Lights is actually like a perfect recipe, right? They wanted to make a dedicated set to a class. And for them to effectively not just make mech absolutely busted, they dumb it all down. Now, in my opinion, I think that the cards being basically 0 to 50 or 0 to 60 zipper hit and throttle, all the cards basically mimicked those cards, but they were scaled down a little bit. I think the main motivator for that was actually limited, not actually the set from a constructed perspective. And so that's why I'm hoping that because they're not having to work around these things, that we don't end up in that situation. If we do, it could be a little worrisome. I don't know. I think if Sage is bad, they just go back to limited as a secondary focus, and they continue. I'm gonna be honest. Is that an option? Is that honestly an option? I don't know. They have they have spent so much effort developing the secondary format, and there has to be a reason. Whatever the reason is, maybe it's nobody wants to watch that shit. Maybe it's nobody's interested in that shit except for the people playing it. I don't know. I don't know what the main motivator is. I don't know the main reason, but all I do know is they have spent a lot of resources and time into developing what the second format is for the competitive stage. And that is not limited. And I don't know. I think there's a lot riding on it. Golden Age coming next. Yeah. Oh god. I like how they basically said Guardian Mastery Pack was terrible during the keynote. Yeah, they said that they and I mean, let's be honest, it was. I made the joke that on Twitter that, oh, I get it now. Guardian Mastery Pack is for all the other classes to master the Guardian matchup, and um, that's literally what it felt like. Like the only good cards in that set were the ones that were just good against Guardian. Base of the Mountain, the blue that you discard and it eliminates Dominate. Like, sure, there were some good Guardian cards. I'm not like completely hating on it. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what purpose that product really served. They want to develop a secondary format to catch more markets, but the player base has remained all in on CC. Competitive players have already shown they want CC. Nothing is lost if they go back to CC. Well, we're never abandoning CC, right? Um, I I'm trying to think back. So the first Pro Tour that they did in New Jersey, it was all CC. And I think people loved it because it was the first Pro Tour. But I think if you were to do just an all CC like tier 4, would it not get a little bland? Like I don't know, maybe it doesn't. I don't know because the only frame of reference I have is the first Pro Tour. So I don't know, but it is it is interesting. Draft is the second best competitive format, but Super Slam was a horrible set to play limited. Yeah, and I'm glad that they just realized that and they didn't force us to play it. I think kudos to them for that. Also, maybe a wild take, but I think they need a whole set of cards for 20 life formats instead of using cards designed for CC. They need to. Well, that's the idea of separating by rares, and I'm just interested on like how 10 sets from now, like you have to be very careful with your commons and rares. Like vigorous mashup is never going to happen again in the rare slot. Just can't, right? Most common complaint at Nats was that there was draft focus instead of just CC. The most common complaint at Nats was there were no cards. That was the most common complaint for sure. I like the split for tier 4 personally. It makes it feel mechanically, yeah. I agree with Jacob on that one, where you gotta have something that separates it from just a calling. Um, and that's it's usually the way it is. But once again, I like that they're challenging the narrative, right? It's easy to say that the recipe for success is Magic, which is constructed and limited, right? That's the answer. That's what we should do for our competitive scene just because that's what's been proven, right? But I like the idea that they are just kind of challenging that narrative and saying, okay, like limited's great. Don't get me wrong. Like it will always have a piece in the game, but maybe it loses you know, its spot as like the premier secondary format. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be. I'm just saying that I'm just glad that somebody is thinking outside the box and saying, maybe that's not the recipe for us. Maybe our mechanics and our um, game just does not create as good of a limited experience as other games, right? Like that could be true. It could also not be true. I don't know because high sees it. It seems like they fixed it to me. Like it checked all my boxes. So I don't know. Maybe they just need more time to just recreate that. They didn't want to have like another subpar limited set, and then they just want to keep the expectations at what IC's was. What's wrong with Smash Up? That card is broken as a rare, especially in a low powered format. I'm gonna be honest. I don't mind if they just ban a card on release or when spoiled for Sage, so people don't test it for Sage. That's the one thing that's probably pissed me off the most is I've heard them say literally like 15 different times, "Yeah, we let you do this like stupid thing because we wanted to give you all the chance to do it, but now after this one event, we're going to go ahead and ban it." That is the dumbest, and I mean dumbest shit on the play. They did it with Stubby's 5. They did it with Kraken Aether's Vein, LL. They people drawing 40 cards, like just to my mindset for that situation is literally you're just invalidating an event. Literally. You're just invalidating an event. You're siloing one event to a circumstance and it is just top 5, top 10 decision worst decisions LSS has ever made is using those combinations of words. Um it almost got him in trouble with Zephyr Needle. Almost got him in trouble, and kinda did because they waited till the last second to do it, right? Oh, man, we just wanted to let y'all try it. Really? Alright, I'm not gonna get on that tangent. I'm not gonna get on that tangent. Ooh, can't be saying that. Can't be saying that. Isn't Magic Limited is what? Is drying? What? Dying? Dying? Drying? Which one? Could be dying and drying at the same time. You think the game is expensive now? Wait until no one wants to open a set because there is no limited. I think that is giga cap, dude. I'm gonna push back on that one, Pharaoh. I think that is no shot. We're making the comparison that like people physically draft because first of all, who the fuck's physically drafting, right? Every team does the same thing. Everybody, we all do 90% of our reps online. We go to our testing house the week before, and then we physically draft just to get like actual packs opened and make sure there's no correlation issues or anything like that. And then we go play the tournament. Ain't nobody buying boxes and drafting at their LGS, bro. Ain't ever seen it. Maybe there's a couple. Maybe you have zero armories in your state. I mean, it's slightly above 0, but people draft at armories? Is that a thing? Like, I'm sure some people have done it, yes, but there's no way that's, like, on the reg. We draft maybe twice at release. Exactly. Exactly. There's no way we're gonna make the argument that drafting makes prices reasonable or more reasonable. No shot. That was the logic 20 years ago, Friday Night Magic. We have draft armories. I love drafts. Usually once every 2 weeks. Okay. That's just something I've never seen. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to eat this one. I'm just saying. I don't think that like we draft the first month of armories after a new set is released. We can't even draft their no. I mean that's a separate issue, right? NYC armories are very heavily draft for months after. Okay, so maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. One box per eight. Saying you never go to army without saying, look, Pierre, you don't draft. The only thing you draft is side event vouchers, bro. What are you talking? What are you talking about, bro? Oh my god. But isn't it just the same thing whether you like draft or you just get prize packs for your armory? Isn't that the same thing? Like I don't know about everybody else, but every armory I've been to, they do like pack per win or whatever. That's the same. I mean, for me, that's the same as drafting. I don't know. I love it. And once again, I'm not talking shit about draft. I'm just saying draft ain't got nothing to do with keeping card prices down, bro. That is the most boomer shit I've ever heard. Ain't no way. You draft and get prize packs? Bro, what is your armory? $30 to go in? What the fuck? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Non-armory cover. Next set is more expensive and has less cards for each well, next set is not uh there is no draft. I think. I'm pretty sure. CC gives out 1.5 pack per person. Draft, you get 3 packs and get 1.5 packs per person. Okay. Third world country. Maybe it is an Alabama thing. I don't know. Oh, that is hilarious though. We pay like $15, $20 for a draft. Covers 3 packs and a gym pack and prize. Okay, okay. I need to start going up there to go to armories. That's like $1 billion Canadian. The conversion is not that bad. That has to be an exaggeration. What? But feel free to remind Arcodius that US dollars are worth more than Canadian ones. Feel free to remind him. Every story I've played at hosts draft every store I've played at hosts draft armies at least some percentage of the time. Okay. Maybe that's just an our area thing. But are you opening that much I mean, I guess over the course I guess you are. I don't know. I don't know. It's like 45. Is it that bad? 4 Canadians made top 8, not a single one has to be paid out in cake. Ah! Got him. Got him. All right. So other than learning that there is no draft in Alabama armories, I hope everybody that watched enjoyed themselves or got some type of value from it. Trying to eat a single meal and got to give them 50. Oh my god. You pay 50 for dinner? Bro, 50 US, you get a good dinner. I tell you. That's wild. It's really 50% more. God, 30 is 45. Sheesh. That's tough. Well, I think we're getting ready to wind this one down a bit. If anybody has any comments, questions, throw them in chat now. I'd love to answer them. We'll go for another 5 minutes or so, or until chat stops. And you know, we'll start cooking on Silver Age and see. Norwegian here. 50 for dinner is cheap if eating out. You know what? I've actually been to Norway. Um, I went to Oslo and what is it? Bergen? Bergen. Yeah, yeah, Bergen, the little town. What little train ride from? Not little train ride. It's quite the train ride to Oslo. One of my favorite countries that I've been to personally. Did an exercise in the Navy. Went up there for y'all's like bicentennial celebration or some shit. But dope country. Had a good time. Time to go to Japan. Really take advantage of that conversion. That's what pays a whole E strike to eat. Damn, whole E strike. I live in Oslo. Hell yeah, man. The Opera House. Bro. That shit's dope. I had a blast going there. I even took the train to Voss where they make the water, and boy, there was nothing there. There was like 4 buildings. There was nothing in Voss. Okay. Absolutely nothing. Let me answer some questions. In Alabama, they are all related to each other, so they get the family. Michael with the low blows. I like it though. I like it. It's all fair game. That is hilarious. The family what's your predictions for Penn hero wise? Who gets busted? Which hero gets Bolton tier support? That's tough. I think that they do make a they're gonna go ahead and knock out the legality issue of Blaze and those heroes that can't be played. They're gonna do that in one fell swoop. That's very low hanging fruit. If they don't do it there, they'll just do it in a promo or some. I don't know. They'll find a way to easily do that. But this is the time to do it if they were gonna do it. Also, I one more thing. I'm glad you said this because it kind of reminded me of something. I've always had the idea that they could just insert a hero into a set, kind of like Starvo, that had like no real reason to be there. But just like they want to like make a new hero that replace an LL one or whatever the case may be. Um, just here you go. Have fun. Like, here's your new hero. This is the set to do that. I think this is my opinion. I think we get 2 to 3 CC hero replacements. This could be anything from, I don't know, fucking Chain to Briar to Viscerai or whatever the case may be, right? Like any hero, obviously not Dromai because we're a little far with that, right? But like I think they're just gonna like Slippy, does that really count though? I mean, yes, they just dripped, but he was obviously just busted and limited, so they had to throw his ass in the expansion slot. Like, I don't think it was an assassin set. He was in there, right? Like, I think that we're gonna get actual hero replacements. Is my theory. Um, and the main reason you would do that is to kind of um, fill the void from LLs and stuff like that. So that's my prediction there. Went all the way to Norway and still can't make it to a draft. Aren't we? It wasn't my choice to go to Norway. I was in the military. I'm bummed I didn't run into you, bud. Glad you had a good time and did some pineapple oh, that shit was fun. We were all being, like, conservative and shit, and then we got 5 cars and everybody just started blasting the pot. It was a blast. Loads of Americans was here, and now quite a few moved here, I feel. Meet new Americans every week. Yeah, I love it. Pokemon TCG will be in San Francisco next year. Yeah, they did that with Super Slam here. I mean, that's a good one. That's a good one. I see what you did there. The real question is, when are we going to see you back in the booth? I'm kind of just down for whenever. I mean, that's not up to me. But the last one that I did, the the first one that I did slash last one that I did, was Memphis, and there is a Memphis calling coming up in February, March timeframe. So maybe, who knows? Possibly, I don't know, but I'd be down. I've always kind of enjoyed it. Either like you know one event, all of it. I'm down for whatever. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Please, a new chain. The question they might not do the new chain and they might save that for the Dust Till Dawn set. Unless this is do we know if this I don't know. I actually made the prediction on like 2 or 3 streams ago that it was gonna be a oops everybody set for the third Monarch. I actually said that. And I don't know if this is actually counting as the third Monarch trilogy. I don't know. Tier list for bannable heroes. Nope, I can't be talked into it. Cannot be talked into it. Ain't happening. Who do you think was actually the flesh and blood player of the year? Michael, that is I I think, in my opinion, I would get I'd give it to Jacob. The dominance that Jacob showed, Jacob Clements, the back to back to back to back top top eights, finals of callings, wins, like I mean, I don't think you could argue with that. Now, no, did Brody deserve what he got? Sure, like 100%. I'm not trying to take anything away from Brody. Um, but I think that the location of where Brody lives pays a lot of dividends in that race, right? Because you're able to, I mean, let's be honest, like just from a, if you just took, if you just took, like the battle hardens, right? And you like the battle hardens that Jacob had access to versus the ones that Brody had. Brody probably had access to like 30 battle hardens that Jacob didn't, right? Because asking a European player to fly all the way to the US for a battle harden is insane. Insane, right? Um, and it is what it is. So I think that's the portion that I would factor in, right? But the other Jacob did really fucking good too. That's thanks. That's too good. Uh, that was good. There's no way Pin is Monarch 3. I hope not. I hope not. Not sure if you went over this, but top 8 LL games looks way more interesting than yeah, I mean, everybody seemed to enjoy it on coverage. Everybody. Okay, no tier list for bannable heroes, but what about you and the rest of the card guys make bets on who gets ban. I mean, we gotta see the new cards, right? That's the thing that we're waiting on first. Spin Dog Player of the Year, easy. I mean, that'd be my vote for Content Creator of the Year, bro. That video of you sitting there talking to the skeleton, bro. Oh my god. Oh, I was weak. I was weak, bro. It actually got me. It got me, bro. I was crying sitting there talking to a fucking skeleton, bro. Oh, that shit was hilarious. Um, how do you feel about players winning player of the year overall and also their regional leaderboard at the same time? I mean, that's kind of the idea, right? Is it's kind of the idea of like there has to be one person that like wins the player of the year, and then they also get, um, you know, they also get you have to win your regional, and then yeah, makes sense to me. Shaking my head that the correct answer was Eugene. I mean, come on, come on, Eugene's the goat. We know that. We know that. Give EU more big event. I mean, I think they deserved it. Jasker had a PT top 8 and a Worlds win. I mean, okay. I did not know that he topped the PT as well. Arthur had a PT top 8, won a calling in Nats. I guess it's tough. Maybe it's not as straightforward of an answer as you would think. Without Matt Folks, who fills the reviled player role, I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that question. That is bait. That is bait. That is bait. Won a calling, top aided like 3 and got top 16 at 2 PTs and Worlds. That's pretty good too. That is consider the travel cost. Do they even break even? Just who break even? I mean, so like, yeah, Vero could fit the role of reviled, right? But the important part of a heel is they have to be relevant, right? Isn't that like a key aspect? Guy, guy. Uh, Vero is in the chat. That is true. Lots of players had great years. No offense to Brody, but I don't think his accomplishments measure up to the other. The system is a bit flawed. It may be. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's not a key aspect of being a content creator, that's for sure. Daggers, daggers. Opinions on removal of battle horns and implementing showdowns. Well, the interesting part is like changing the name does not change what it is. Okay? All they did was that they made them not standalone. System benefit system benefits you if you have resources to travel. I mean, but that's the case for everything in life. I mean, there's no way to equalize that. Because then if one person goes to 2 events and they snipe both events, you could just say that it was variance or luck or there's just no way to account for that. But I I think the only relevant part of, the change is that they got rid of the standalone battle hardens, which, like, to Vero's point, is they were kind of atrocious, right? But changing the name doesn't fucking do anything, right? It's the same thing. It's the event after the calling. You can name it showdown, show up, show left, right, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's 8 to 10 rounds, probably Silver Age format, because they have to leave and shut down the venue. Top eight, certain gold fools. Like, they changed the pricing structure, which was probably the most important thing to change. So there's more OP announcements to come to replace the standalone Battle Hardens 2. Well, I mean, they say that any stop had a calling, right? Is that not what they said? Anytime the world tour stops, it's for a calling. At least. What if they added armory attendance to points? Could be a super tiny percentage, but drive more. I mean, I don't. No, they couldn't do that because then you're only influencing like the top 10 players of each region. Because if you're not in the top 10, you don't. That's not really a motivator, right? And I don't think the player of the year should be contingent on attending armories. It's just not what that. If they want to create a ambassador of flesh and blood and whatever award, yeah, factor in their armories, right? But player of the year, nah, nah. Michael said no. No, let's not do that. I kind of agree. That seems like a no go. Seems like a no go. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining me except Vero. And I hope everybody had a good time. I know I did. I appreciate everybody, especially if you came up and said something at Worlds. Thank you so much. And if you didn't, next time, please do. I love to meet people. I love, you know, just getting to know the community. It's my favorite part about attending these events. So would love to see it. And thank you for joining me. The next couple streams are going to be a lot of Silver Age games, probably, because there's just really nothing else to really be hitting on. As information comes up, we'll talk about it. But it seems like for the foreseeable future, probably going to be spending a lot of the time um, on Silver Age. It seems like. Um, so I think it'd be good for Player of the Year to decide by someone. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Where's the tier list? If only. If only. Thanks everybody for joining me. Have a good night.